Cincinnati Director of Athletics John Cunningham with us, 365 Sports, Big 12 Media Days. It's here. Does this kind of kick off the football season for you in a way and really almost the next school year?
Yeah, I always tell my wife this ends summer. So this officially ends summer. Feels like it feels like it ended before it started for athletics directors, I think, in the Big 12. But we try to get all of our travel done and all of our family things done in June, and then you get back to campus. Student athletes are already on campus, getting ready for the year, and before you know it, you're heading to camp, and then you're rolling. So, yeah, I think it does kick it off, and it's always nice to go first. I think it's really important for the Big 12 to jump out and get a lot of attention going first.
John, this league is it's way better than people outside of it would say, or at least people who don't watch it as much. It is, it's a Premier League for a reason. And I think, talking to Kenny Dillingham earlier, he mentioned that, some leagues, like, it's kind of the same every week. This one is different every week. And that's what I think you guys need to kind of celebrate, right? That every game is going to be different. Every game's going to be close. And that's what makes this league as hard as the SEC or the Big Ten or anybody else, right?
It's so good top to bottom. I mean, that's certainly what we always talk about. And, we have a coach that came from the ACC, and that's what he talks about. Dillingham coming from a different – everybody that comes into this league says that same thing. Is every week is a battle, and you said it perfectly. You don't know what you're going to get. We had so many lead changes in the fourth quarter in the Big 12 last year. I suspect that's going to be the situation again, and so hold on to your hats when you're in the Big 12, and that's what makes it fun.
So quiet off season for athletic directors, right? Just nothing really going on. I mean, yeah, just what's what is a break like for you? I mean, is there ever truly a break, or is it just always got to be by the phone because you don't know what's coming next?
Well, it doesn't feel like there has been in the last couple of years because we are going through this huge transformational change, and the House case and everything that comes with that, the NIL being distributed from the universities, that. I said it the other day, it's kind of a startup for everybody. So for all these athletics directors that have been doing it for a while, or even the new ones, all of a sudden you have this $20 million startup that you're having to figure out, because it's not just about how you distribute that $20 million. It's all the things behind the scenes to make sure you get the contracts right, to make sure that the distribution, we're with PayPal, making sure that goes well. So there's just a lot of things that go on behind the scenes with this $20 million startup. So it's it hasn't been a time for breaks. I'm hopeful that can happen soon. And I've got a great deputy AD to my left here that I'm going to put in charge for a couple of days, and I'm going to try to get away at some point.
John, is everybody playing on the same page?
That's a great. I think that's the $1 million question. I'm not sure. I'm hopeful that this reins it in a little bit. I really believe it will. I think it's going to bring transparency. That's one of the things that NCAA President Baker talks about. Let's if you're going to do something outside the cap, you got to put your name on it, and you got to talk about how it is a true marketing deal, and it's got to go through an agency that's going to look at it to make sure it's a true marketing deal. Now, where that goes, how that regulates, and how that all works out, we'll see. But at least somebody has to put their name on it and attest to the fact that if you're outside the cap, that it's a true marketing deal.
That is one of the things I've always thought is so weird about, like the committee has very little transparency. Like, they get one interview and we kind of have to, hear bits and pieces. I understand we don't need to see everything, but I don't understand why so many things have to be a secret, and that's what probably makes it hard for a lot of people to wrap their head around NIL is they're just like, oh, I heard this guy's getting $1 million for what? For living in this town, like in playing football. And if people just said, look, this is this side outside deal, they're paying him this much money and he's going to be the spokesman for this, and you're going to do that, I think a lot of people could wrap their head around that easier than like, what does he have to do? Move? Like, that's it.
Right. And I think that goes back to the transparency. Now you need a little bit of time for the system to work before you get that transparency and you start to be able to see what the market truly is. And so I think that, we got to preach patience on this a little bit and give it a little bit of time in terms of those things outside the cap. But certainly the cap should help too. The cap should really help to David, to your question of make sure everybody's playing in the same playing field.
How have the new facilities been treating you so far? I mean, there was the big with the big indoor and the debut. I guess it was a couple months ago, maybe at this point. But just I know you probably are You haven't played a season in there yet, but what's that all just been like, that transformation and the new opportunities at your disposal?
Yeah, it's huge for us. Obviously, it's a brand new facility for our football program and a brand new indoor complex. It's what everybody in the Big 12 has had, and we haven't. And we needed to get there. And so we got into the Big 12, and then we started to do some things investment wise. And so it's been a great trek for us to get there. Probably have underplayed the fact that we haven't had an indoor for the last 2 years. It's really impacted us in a lot of ways, in really all of our programs, but especially our football program. So it's exactly what we need. And then we didn't just build a nice one. We built, in my mind, maybe the best one.
Looks great,
and it's huge. It's beautiful. We're an architectural school, so it's got a look to it that's awesome. And so it's going to help us in recruiting, and it's going to help us function more efficiently for sure.
How much and has it been a challenge where you are located compared to the rest of the conference? Because there are, like, everybody spread out around the country. Cal, Stanford are now in the ACC. Has that been a problem at all? West Virginia's kind of isolated. UCF is isolated. Is it for Cincinnati, everything pretty cool with that?
It's not too bad. I mean, obviously, we're a big enough city that we're not driving somewhere to get to an airport,
Sure.
right? So we have for our sports that don't charter, we have a lot of direct flights. So that it works out okay. It's not a big, huge change for us. I would say some of the West Coast swings that we do in some of our Olympic sports are tough. And if you look at those, like if you take your women's basketball team out west to play BYU and Arizona State back to back, they typically don't play well that second game. And that's been a standard thing that we've seen in this conference. And so I think it's just a lot of time on the road and those types of things. So some of those West Coast swings in Olympic sports are tough. Football is not that bad because you're flying in and you're flying out. Now, if you play late, we played at BYU late, you're flying home to Cincinnati and the sun's rising, and it does affect you, I think, the next week. But outside of that, football's not too bad.
What was that like, that night game at BYU?
Awesome. The absolute best. There's no more beautiful place to play a football game in the country, and it's a great environment, tremendous environment. We didn't get the victory, but then when you fly back, that's when you're tired. So luckily, I think we had a bye week the next week. So they do try to help you out with some of those things. If you're going out way west, they try to help you out with the bye week the next week.
Does it mess with your head that all those people are so loud and so crazy and there's not a drop of alcohol involved?
It doesn't seem right. I don't know how they...
That to me would be the real psychological warfare. It's like you go anywhere else, like they get this loud and this rowdy, like you're at LSU. Well, it's like God knows what they've had. BYU, they're high on life.
And they're so nice to you up until the time the ball kicks, and you just they lull you to sleep with their kindness and how gracious they are. And then that place is tough to play as anywhere in the Big 12. So it was a great environment.
So there's no shortage of things going on, as we've established. One of those things is the college football playoff. I know that the Big 12 kind of came out with a concise message of everybody kind of being on the same page. Where are you personally as far as where your head is as far as the postseason and the Big 12 basically saying, hey, we're going to gamble on ourselves and we're not going to take handouts. We're going to go out there and try to earn everything that we can get.
I'm absolutely behind Brett Yormark and his approach, and I think all the ADs in the room are, which is let's put the best teams in the playoff. And, let's have it so that the team that wins the conference obviously gets that automatic. But outside of that, if you don't win your conference, you've got to be the best team. And let's figure out what calculation that is and what the committee looks like and factor all those things in. But let's bet on ourselves. I think that's gonna over time play out really well for the Big 12.
So there wasn't a part of you or the conference that said we have one no matter what. But if they go to 2 automatic qualifiers for the Big 12, that's still twice as many. And I hope that works out where you earn those extra spots and prove it on the field.
I think it's the competitive nature of what we do. I don't think anybody in the AD room was willing to just say, we'll just take 2. I mean, I think we all feel like let's battle for 3. Let's battle for 4. Why are we limiting ourselves? These things are all cyclical. These conference, everybody just assumes that forever and ever the SEC is going to be absolutely the greatest football conference, and the Big Ten will be second, and everybody just assumes that. That's not how these things work out over a 20-year period of time. So if we start thinking about it that way, we should absolutely bet on ourselves. And there's great teams here and great support. So let's roll the dice there.
I think I hear it. Like, it's funny to hear like some of our younger, people that work for us, and they'll be like, well, my whole life the SEC's just been dominant. Like, well, before your life, they were just like everybody else. And there will be a time where that could be again. Like, it's just they've been in their bag a little while, and that's fine. But sports, you have no idea what's going to happen year to year. That's the beauty of it.
I have two 12-year-olds, and I grew up in Nebraska, and I always tell them when I was growing up, Nebraska was Alabama, and they don't believe me. And I'm just like, trust me. Trust me.
Stop. We're done. This is
this is the biggest Nebraska fan you're going to meet here.
Let me talk to him. Let me talk to him. I'll let them know.
But you're right, though. They were the
program. I was in high school, and they won 3 national championships in my 4 years in high school. Yeah. And just but those things are cyclical a little bit, and they'll be back, and everybody will be back. So we just gotta. But again, if you just keep doing the right things, and this is a great conference, and we'll build on it, and we're going to be great. We will.
So when it comes to, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
When it comes to just your football program, I mean, how are you feeling about just everything rolling in? Got the new indoor and the facilities and everything like that, but just another year, Scott Saterfield. Y'all aren't being talked about a lot in the big picture, but do you kind of like that? And just what should people know about Cincinnati football heading into 2025?
Yeah, I do kind of like that. We have a little handout here in front of me, and I've got 4 young men here with us that are just epitomize this program. Dante Corleone and Gavin Gerhardt. Gavin Gerhardt's an offensive lineman that's a 3-year captain for us. Joe Royer, maybe the best tight end in the country. And then Brandon Sorsby is our quarterback that's coming back for a 3rd year. So you have a 3rd-year returning quarterback. He played 1 year in Indiana and 2 years for us. So I think we have a great deal of experience that we haven't had. We have depth that we haven't had. And our best players are also our leaders. And I love that combination. So, I'm always going to tilt positive, but I really feel good about it. And I know Coach feels good about the team.
Well, it's also historically good in this league when people don't talk about you.
No question.
When people think like, oh, well, good luck to them. But, and it's interesting when you look at Coach Satterfield's history and then him coming to you guys, just seeing like the way you play, it looks like he feels comfortable now and he knows what the program is. And that's a really hard thing to figure out in your first couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, I think it does take time, and you've got to kind of reset your roster just naturally when you have a coaching change. And then we entered into the Big 12 the same year that he started, and that's a tough transition. And but we're starting to get our feet underneath us, and the culture of the program is great. Everything behind the scenes is really good. These are great young men. Like I said, our best players are our leaders, and so I think we're heading the right direction, and he has a great staff around it too.
Yeah, I just wanted to say quickly, I mean, you reeling off the leaders there. It's like I've thought about Cincinnati and who else coming back, but then you name who you named, and I'm like, oh, dang, they got a nice little core coming back. And big picture-wise, that should bode well, I would think. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
John, so when Bob Bowlesby tried to react to Texas and OU leaving, and they had to find a way to save the conference or at least make sure the Big 12 survived. And it's a conference cat with 9 lives. It really is. What was that conversation like? And then what was the conversation like when right after that, the 4 schools from the Pac-12 are added? They're 8. Half the league is basically brand new.
Yeah, I mean, when I took over the job in 2020, the absolute goal was to find our way into the Power 5 at the time, and now the Power 4. And it was, every day talked about it. And I kept saying it's going to happen when it makes sense for one of the power conferences to invite us in. And that's when Oklahoma and Texas leaves. All of a sudden, it made sense. And I give a lot of credit to Bob Bowlesby for kind of seeing the big picture and bringing 4 really good schools in. And it was a pretty simple conversation. He took us to his house in Dallas, and the president and I, and sat down and just said, let's make this happen. And so that was an easy conversation for us. And then obviously the bringing over the 4 Pac-12 schools was a no-brainer. Kind of the same thing, like 4 great institutions. Institutions on the rise when you look at how, like in Arizona State, how many students they have and how they're just one of those institutions, those schools that people are wanting to go to, and BYU and Utah and that rivalry, and then obviously Arizona as well. So it just all made sense. And I think we've done a really nice job, like you said, at a conference with 9 lives. Some great leadership in Bowlesby and Yormark to get this thing together, and we're going to be a conference to reckon with going forward.
You guys were previously in a league with West Virginia, and that was a nice little, especially basketball rivalry back in the day. Have your fans enjoyed at least getting some of that back together, the nostalgia, the ones that do remember the old Big East days?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think West Virginia is a natural rival for us. We kind of pull them into the conference a little bit. We're a lifeline for them to the conference, and so yeah, absolutely. The Big East rivalry games come up all the time, and probably especially in basketball. You know, Coach Huggins was at Cincinnati and then went to West Virginia, and so there's a lot of connections there. So, but yeah, absolutely, it's been a great rival.
Do you feel like you guys have kind of found your stride now, and it's not new? Like, I mean, there's still some freshness there, but it's been a couple years. I mean, do you kind of feel like you're kind of fitting in now, and it's not new anymore? It's just the way that it is, so to speak.
It feels that way. I use the analogy that in golf, the third round is moving day, and it kind of feels like that for us. This is our third year. We know what to expect. We've seen a lot of these teams come through. Baylor's been at Cincinnati where they're coming back. We're ready to attack this thing, from all of our sports, and I think our coaches feel that way too. So.
Seems like the conference has some momentum, a little swagger. I mean, Arizona State was so close to being in the semifinals, and the listen, we're going to earn our way into the playoff. I love it. Brett Yormark kind of brings that to the table too.
Always.
Thank you, John. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys.
John Cunningham, Director of Athletics at Cincinnati 365 Sports.